Welcome back to Echo Mind Documentaries. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Today's video is about a moment in history where human ambition collided with nature in its most unforgiving form. We're stepping into a world of luxury, pride, and tragedy to uncover the story behind one of the most infamous disasters in history, the Titanic. This is not just a story, this is the reality behind the legend. She was the dream of an era, built by the White Star Line and constructed at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Ireland. The RMS Titanic took over 3 years and 3,000 workers to complete. When she was finished in 1912, she was the largest moving object ever built by human hands, 882 feet long, 175 feet high, and carrying a price tag equivalent to over $400 million today. The Titanic was divided into 3 classes. First-class passengers enjoyed a gymnasium, a swimming pool, fine dining rooms, and private promenades. They were the elite, business magnates, socialites, and aristocrats. Second-class accommodations rivaled first class on other ships of the time. Third class, or steerage, housed over 700 immigrants who had packed what little they owned, hoping the Titanic would carry them to a new life in America. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic departed Southampton, England on her maiden voyage to New York City. She made brief stops in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland before setting out across the open Atlantic. On board were 2,224 passengers and crew. The early days of the voyage were smooth. The weather was clear, the sea was calm, and the mood was electric. But deep beneath the surface of the North Atlantic, the conditions were silently setting the stage for catastrophe. By Sunday, April 14th, the Titanic had received multiple iceberg warnings from nearby ships via wireless telegraph. At least 6 warnings were logged throughout the day. Despite this, Captain Edward J. Smith maintained the ship's speed at around 22 knots, close to her top speed, a decision that, even at the time, raised questions. Some historians believe there was pressure from White Star Line's managing director, J. Bruce Ismay, who was on board and eager to arrive in New York ahead of schedule. At 11:40 p.m., lookout Frederick Fleet spotted something in the darkness ahead. He rang the crow's nest bell 3 times and called the bridge. The response was immediate. The order was given to turn hard to starboard and reverse the engines, but the Titanic was simply too large and moving too fast. 16 seconds later, the ship's starboard side scraped along a submerged slab of ice, approximately 100 feet below the waterline. From the deck, passengers described it as a slight shudder. From below, it was a death sentence. The iceberg had opened a series of thin fractures along 6 of the Titanic's 16 watertight compartments. The ship had been designed to stay afloat with 4 compartments flooded. 6 was beyond saving. Within the hour, naval architect Thomas Andrews, who had helped design the ship and was aboard for the maiden voyage, informed Captain Smith that the Titanic would sink. He estimated they had between 1 and 2 hours. The SOS distress signal was sent. The Carpathia, 58 miles away, began steaming toward them at full speed. The Californian, just 10 to 20 miles away, had shut down her wireless for the night and would not receive it until it was too late. The loading of the lifeboats began in earnest just after midnight, and here the tragedy deepened. The Titanic carried 20 lifeboats, enough for roughly 1,178 people. There were 2,224 on board, but even those lifeboats were not fully used. Many were lowered into the water well below capacity, partly out of fear, partly due to confusion, and partly because in those first hours, many passengers still did not believe the ship was truly sinking. The class divide shaped survival in devastating ways. First-class women and children had easy access to the boat deck and were loaded with priority. Third-class passengers faced a labyrinth of corridors and in some cases gates that slowed their path to the lifeboats. The survival statistics would later tell the story clearly. Over 60% of first-class passengers survived. Less than 25% of third-class passengers made it out alive. At 2:17 a.m., the ship's bow plunged beneath the surface. The stern rose high into the air, and the massive hull broke apart under the pressure, snapping roughly 2/3 of the way along the keel. At 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, the RMS Titanic disappeared beneath the North Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people perished from hypothermia, from drowning, from exhaustion in the 28-degree Fahrenheit water. The Carpathia arrived at 4:10 a.m. and rescued 710 survivors. The world was stunned. The Titanic was not supposed to be able to sink. She was modern, she was powerful, she was the best that human ingenuity had produced, and yet she was gone. The investigation that followed reshaped maritime law forever. New regulations required that all ships carry enough lifeboats for every person on board. A 24-hour wireless watch became mandatory. The International Ice Patrol was established to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic, a service that continues to this day. For over 70 decades, the wreck of the Titanic lay undiscovered at a depth of over 12,500 feet. In 1985, oceanographer Dr. Robert Ballard located the ship using deep-sea robotic technology. The images that came back to the surface shook the world all over again. There she was. The grand staircase collapsed, her hull encrusted with rust and sea life, her bow buried in the ocean floor, and her stern scattered across a debris field nearly a mile away. What the Titanic left behind is not just wreckage, it is a mirror, a reflection of a world that had grown so confident in its own progress that it stopped asking the most important question: what if we're wrong? The Titanic didn't sink because the ocean was too powerful. She sank because men decided she didn't need to be prepared for it. She carried the wealth of an age, the dreams of immigrants, and the blind certainty of a civilization at the peak of its confidence. And the ocean answered.